Welcome back to the FTN NFL Draft Team Preview Series. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on X at Randle Rand. And today we're talking Kansas City Chiefs. And folks, if you're unaware, I have talked to Jesse Newell for 3 straight years of the Kansas City Star. 3 years ago, we talked Kansas Jayhawk basketball. They won the national title. 2 years ago, we talked about the Chiefs, previewed them. They won the Super Bowl. Last year, we talked they won the Super Bowl. On X at Jesse Newell. Jesse, you must have every sports team beating down your door because you have the Midas touch.
I was going to say, you can hire free agents, you can get a new owner, you can get a new coach, you can do all these other things, or you can just, quadruple my salary. The choice is yours, teams, if you want championships. But no, it's been a crazy run the last 3 years. But again, Chiefs are going to look to be in a pretty good position going forward, but got to nail the draft like they have the past few years.
Yeah, they certainly have. And last year, Jesse gave us some great insight, running back, wide receiver, all those things. We're really positive on Rashee Rice last year, gave a preview. So I guess I have to start there. Obviously, some things happened off the field recently. Any update you have? Because a lot of us in fantasy football are targeting Rice as a main player here coming into the season. But I know it's early. You may not have much, but thoughts on Rashee Rice, what you're hearing and moving forward.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd love to have more for you, but it is one of those situations where you have to let the details play out. Obviously, we see the dash cam footage out there, and obviously police are wanting to talk with Rashee, and he's hired counsel. And so this thing, again, who knows when people will be watching this video, there might be more details that that we don't know at this particular moment. But I did see in some fancy drafts that he has been dropping on the ADP and things like that. I think we can say this: if there's any precedent in the NFL that they take these things seriously, and that the conduct policy sort of thing could apply potentially to this situation. So we don't know many details for now, and we'll all let the process play out. But I can definitely understand that thought through fantasy world, which is like, hey, might not anticipate a full season for Rashee Rice, even if things turn out more in his favor than not. So we'll see. We'll let this thing play out and go with that. But I can definitely see why fantasy players would be looking at that and trying to make adjustments based off of that.
Well, Jesse, and there's a domino effect. So, of course, Marquise Brown has joined the Chiefs as well. This leads us into that first-round pick that we want to talk about. The Chiefs, honestly, have a tremendous amount of picks here. They end up having 6 picks in the first 5 rounds, a first, second, third, fourth, and 2 in the 5th round. So as soon as the Rice news dropped, the odds on DraftKings for them to take a wide receiver with that first pick plummeted. I'm not sure if that's correct. What are you hearing? Of course, offensive line with all the moves in the offseason here. Protecting Patrick Mahomes has to be a priority. What are you thinking with that first overall pick? Chiefs have a good amount of picks here in the first few rounds to really add some key pieces.
Yeah, I think the first 2 picks have to be left tackle and wide receiver, to your point. I would be shocked if they went elsewhere. If they did, maybe interior defensive line, though, again, they just signed Chris Jones to that long-term deal. They can still use another body there, but it's probably not as dire as receiver and tackle were. And that was even before the Rashee Rice news, which the Chiefs still need a receiver, and they still need to plan for life after Travis Kelce. And more than likely, it's hard to find Hall of Fame tight ends who are good pass catchers. More than likely, they're going to replace that production with another receiver. And so, I think those 2 positions, whether they trade up in the first round, which Brett Veach has been aggressive in the past, if he likes the guy that he wants to go up and get, or whether it's just the 2 first draft picks that they have, I think those are the 2 positions. Now, the Chiefs have done a great job in the past. They don't pigeonhole themselves into one position. They don't say we have to take this and reach for whatever's on the board. But the good news for them is you look at this particular draft, super deep at receiver, super deep at tackle. So I think the Chiefs are kind of an envious spot here where they can sort of let the board fall to them and see what comes. But I would be very surprised if they did not go with either left tackle or wide receiver here. Those are the 2 biggest needs left on the roster. And those are the 2 things you would think they would want to shore up in the early rounds.
It makes a lot of sense, especially tackles in the first round. The over-under is 9.5. Last question, sir. We'll get you out of here. Talk about last year's draft picks, how they did, a lot more defense than offense, and how things could look this year as they roll into 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. The defense, to the Chiefs' credit, they've drafted so well the last 2 years. They have so many starters that are young guys on rookie contracts that there's not a whole lot of holes to fill on that particular side. They might want to take a corner at some point because L'Jarius Sneed just traded him to the Titans. Obviously, like I said, defensive interior, could always use an edge rusher, that sort of thing. But really solidified in that front. So potentially a few more picks on offense this year. I just talked left tackle, receiver. Again, Bradvich has been very aggressive in the past in trying to trade up. So we could potentially see them trade some of their picks to move up higher in the first round to go get the guy they potentially want. But you could see some other spots there. Do you want to take another tight end to potentially, have a guy there in the future and develop? Running back, the Chiefs, at least at this particular point, where we're talking on April 2nd, don't have much behind Isiah Pacheco. So is there a late round stab like they did on Isiah Pacheco a couple years ago in the 7th round to take? Potentially that's something there. So I would think that if this was going to be a draft heavily leaned more towards offense or defense, I would go slightly more towards the offensive side. They always like to kind of prepare a year in advance so we could still see some defensive guys. But honestly, there's not a lot of starters they need on that particular end. Offensively is kind of where they would circle and say, hey, we need to get more immediate impact guys. So I'd look for more of the focus on that end.
Jesse, I appreciate a few minutes. Follow him, folks, on X at Jesse Newell. Love to get you back in here because we're just turning our attention. Final Four is finishing up. Really going to dive into NFL draft. Love to have you back on as we get closer because we are excited. We're ready. The fantasy season, NFL draft props, so much great stuff. And again, can you go 4 for 4, Jesse? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I wish it was all me. I wish I had a magical power, but like I said, I'll just show up to the games and see what happens. But it has been a pretty crazy to see all the championships lately, and the people around this area so excited about the teams that they watch locally.
We're waiting for the 3P. Thanks so much, Jesse.
All right, appreciate it.